Wow, that's pretty impressive. Actually, I'm sitting 3-4 feet away from the exhaust and I can feel it hitting me. Very cool. You know, I think I've been forgetting to do something for the past 6 months since I filmed this TVR Cerbera review and test drive. Now, what was it? Oh yeah, shaving. Why do I have this long beard? Well, that's another story for another time, but there was a reason for it. So anyhow, the TVR Cerbera is a pretty awesome car. And TVR is a brand that came under my radar 24, 25 years ago. In 2001, there was a film called Swordfish with John Travolta and a bunch of other famous actors. And I saw the TVR Tuscan in that film. Travolta was the main character and he was driving that car. And I was just like, wow, that is the coolest car I have seen in a long time.
What we only fantasize, he does. He lives a life where nothing is beyond.
So fast forward to today, and I've got this Cerbera that a friend of mine, David, has allowed me to test drive and do a review of. And I hope you'll stay tuned to the end, because at the end of the video, I'm going to share my thoughts on, would I own a car like the TVR Cerbera? Or what do I think about importing cars from overseas that were never available in the US market? And especially because those cars necessarily have to be 25 years old or older in order to get around all of the federal regulations. So please stay tuned to the end for those thoughts. So when you and I first started talking about doing this drive, you described the car as 2,425 pounds, 360 horsepower, 320 pound-foot of torque, composite body, steel frame, built like a tractor by a few blokes in a shed, a death trap.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sums it up.
That's a very nice tractor. I like it. So is that what the T stands for in TVR?
Yeah, it must be. Yeah,
tractor, very...
Rubbish.
Yeah. I'm on a mission to help as many people as possible, so please subscribe to my channels, join my Facebook groups, and visit my websites for additional resources. Whether you're young or old or somewhere in between, I'd like to help you win at the game of life by sharing the things that worked for my family and helping you avoid the things that didn't. We all have valuable knowledge and experience to share, and I'm doing this as my nonprofit retirement hobby. Please share my content with other people you care about and enjoy the video. You had wanted me to test drive this car, and I was just curious why.
You have experience with strange British cars, fiberglass bodied Lotuses, and the quirky Alfa that you had, so I knew you had a taste for something different, and I thought this might appeal to you as well.
Yeah, definitely, and you got the color right too.
That's right.
So pedal layout is still the same, even though I'm on the right hand, right?
Exactly the same.
Okay, yeah. That's what I thought. I have driven a couple right-hand cars, but not a lot. Okay, so let me just... Oops, that was not enough, was it?
That's good, I think. Yep.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So how do I escape? This button?
That button, yep.
That's cool. So there really is no assist pushing the door open?
I think it's because we're pointing downhill a little bit.
Really? Okay, so if you're on a flat surface or pointing uphill, it won't pop at all?
It won't, no.
Interesting.
Well, it'll open. But
it'll crack, but not, right, yeah. Okay, very cool. Okay, the Cerbera has a pretty unique way of opening the door. If you look here, this is a very clean panel. There's nothing here, very simple. But you press this little button. Ta-da! I love that, that's awesome. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, I have to get used to that. This shifting on the...
Oh, with your left hand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I talked to a guy who did the Emira thing at Hethel. And he said that was the hardest thing for him, is getting used to shifting on the other hand.
If you're right hand dominant, then yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then starting process?
So it's immobilized at the moment.
Okay.
There's no such thing as a key, really. Well,
oh, really?
There's a little one here if you're going to leave the car for a long time. You turn that off.
So that's like an electric cutoff.
Yeah. It shuts off power to the ECU. But this little immobilizer, this is the immobilizer key. It's just a touch key, and it goes into this little socket.
Okay. Oh, didn't work.
Did not work. There we go. Didn't get the right angle, and then it stops flashing. So now the car is
So you press it twice, so once, and then press and hold. That's a glorious sound. I love that sound. And then to stop the car, you press this button. This is going to be interesting. Yes, brake. Oh, over here.
Over there.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay.
And if it doesn't get it, then, well,
So,
I'll tell you.
yeah. So the steering, is there some sort of assist?
Yeah, hydraulic assist.
Hydraulic assist. Okay, nice. Because it's definitely pretty easy to turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just comparing to other cars.
Right, right.
No backup camera.
There's no backup.
Of course.
There's no traction control, no ABS.
Okay. Oh wait, I don't have my seatbelt on. Am I able to get to it? There we go. Yeah, that's one of the things I find with two-seater cars. This is not a two-seater, but some two-seaters, I literally can't reach back far enough to get where they've positioned the seatbelt.
Well, these doors might be going for a record on length as well, so you don't need to have a back door to get into the back seat.
So the clutch really engages very much at the top, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's a difficult balance because it revs so happily. It takes a bit of getting used to.
So feel free if you have any tips. I am always open.
Oh, you're doing fine. Yeah,
okay.
it will stall if you're not careful.
Right. So now I am on a tiny hill. My least favorite place to be in a manual car, because I'm assuming this has no hill assist or anything like that.
No.
Luckily it engages. Going third. Yeah, just position in the lane with a right-hand drive car.
Yeah, takes a little bit, but you're in the lane, so that's the
Yes,
important.
that's good.
Yeah.
So it's interesting in first gear. I mean, I can feel when I barely let the clutch up, it's engaging.
Yeah.
But then it really doesn't want to fully engage until quite a bit toward the top. At least that's the way it's feeling to me. So one of the things I'm noticing here is there's no dead pedal.
Correct, yeah.
So is that fairly common on British cars, or?
I think it is, you're less likely to be going on a long interstate type drive in Britain without the need to shift gears. So I think they're commonplace now where space permits, but
Right.
There really isn't enough room to put one in here.
Yeah.
They put the engine so far back, it's a mid-front, they call it.
Oh, okay.
That's why we're so far apart. The transmission's right between us here.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was test driving a Lotus Evora, and was surprised that there was no dead pedal in that car, because my Elise has it, my Emira has it.
Yeah, the Elise.
But somehow the Evora, they decided they didn't put one in. That felt a little smoother.
Yeah.
I love the design of this steering wheel.
It's got these nice little bulges that grab hold of there.
Oh, I'm not actually, that part, on this steering wheel, I like it okay. Whoops. So I'm going through a thing with my Emira where I actually ordered a custom steering wheel, and that was something I asked them to get rid of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because in that car, So what happens in that car is that the diameter of the grip is so big that when you're holding it here, it's actually cutting into your finger.
Oh.
Yeah, and theirs is not, this is fairly rounded. That one is fairly sharp. Yeah, you can really feel that engine vibrating in the seat of your pants.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's via the exhaust.
Uh-huh.
So as I was saying, the sports exhaust is really difficult to hang and get it everything oriented the way it needs to be, as high up as you can without it touching the frame.
Uh-huh.
So it is rubber mounted, but under certain torque and whatever, it will touch the chassis and
Gotcha.
you feel it.
Oh, I like that the mirror's like right there.
Yeah.
That's great. So that's only 5,000 RPMs. So do you feel like there's a happy RPM?
I don't really rev it, to be honest. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, about 5 is where I take it to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just found like in the 4C and the Elise were different. It's like the 4C was happier at lower revs.
Right. Now, is the 4C a turbo?
Yes.
4-cylinder?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got a decent turning radius.
It's okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's exceptional,
No.
right? Because in my driveway.
Yeah, it takes quite a bit to turn it around.
Mm-hmm. To say the visibility out the back of this car is phenomenal. I mean, this is a huge rear view mirror and I can see everything out the back. David called this windshield a mail slot windshield, and I see what they mean because it is not very big and it's very steeply raked. So normally I would hang one of my cameras off the front windshield, and honestly, I don't know if it would have worked in this car, but the visibility, as I was saying, is still phenomenal. And the side view mirrors too. I mean, you can see out this one, and I love that it's right here next to me. And that one I can see very clearly. So it's a great visibility. Pole's great. tell the difference between engine on, engine off.
Oh yeah.
So we can. That is just so cool. Even if it's not power assisted, it feels like it, you know.
Like a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, that's impressive. So I'm going to go ahead and open the door. So that's how it works. There's a little black button here. It's like magic.
Not really crazy, but
Oh,
give it a little massage on the back.
that seems a little James Bondy.
And the fuel fillers under here as well. Again, to sort of reduce the complexity
Right.
of the body, you know, so you don't have holes for your fuel tank, your fuel filler.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's just much simpler. You don't have to worry about the fit and finish of the filler cap and that complexity of that body panel and stuff like that. So that's interesting. I love that. So to open the trunk, you toggle the Cerbera emblem. Very cool.
But these are all the control. You know, now everything's on CAN network, but this predates all of that. So
Right.
there are all the various control modules.
Right. This kind of beckons to the blokes in a shed.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you can see who built them as well. Like
Oh, they got their
Tracy.
Yeah.
Debbie. You know.
Oh yeah, 312.98.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So that must be a replacement.
So hopefully having me driving your car didn't make you too nervous.
No, not too bad.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
No new ulcers or anything.
No.
That's good. So when you and I first started talking about doing this drive, you described the car as 2,425 pounds, 360 horsepower, 320 pound-foot of torque, composite body, steel frame, built like a tractor by a few blokes in a shed, a death trap.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sums it up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I'd call it a death trap.
You're still alive.
I am still alive, yes. And I guess let me get one thing out of the way. So, I mean, it's a 27-year-old car. What is it?
Yeah, 1997. So,
Right. So that's,
it's 27 years old.
okay,
Yeah.
so I did the math right in my head. That's pretty good. Because one of the things you do is you import cars
I do.
after that sort of legal requirement of 25 years has passed. So then they don't, I guess, need to meet any requirements for emissions or safety or anything like that?
At the federal level, at least, yeah. Yeah. But,
Okay.
state by state, they govern things a bit differently.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
North
makes sense.
Carolina's quite friendly with classic cars.
Okay, that's good to know. So is this one that you brought over to resell, or are you planning to keep it longer term, or?
I actually imported it for somebody else up in New York, and it was early last year, and then he sold it to me in summer this year.
Oh, so he had it,
Yeah,
and then
he had it.
and then decided he needed to let it go again.
Yeah, he was thinning his collection. He lost his storage, and he was selling a number of his cars. And so I thought, well, why not? I was
Okay.
in the market for a Cerbera. I wasn't specifically looking for an orange one. But,
Yeah.
but why not? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why not? I mean, this is by far the best color ever.
Of course. and I really do it as an attention grabber at the shows and things to talk about importing cars. So,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
This certainly is shouty enough, I think.
So then, are you planning to keep it for a while, or?
Yeah, I'll keep it for a while until everything's sorted on it, and then or the next appealing car comes up.
Is this the first Cerbera you've imported?
No, I've imported a number of these.
Okay.
Yeah. It was one of the earlier ones, but there have been several Cerberas across the country.
So how many cars do you typically import and sell each year?
Import is about a dozen.
Okay.
But for myself, one or two, you know, just for my own entertainment purposes. But
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, very cool. So, and if I am mischaracterizing this, you know, feel free to say so, but you had wanted me to test drive this car, and I was just curious why.
You have experience with strange British cars, you know, fiberglass bodied Lotuses and the quirky Alfa that you had, so I knew you had a taste for something different, and I thought this might appeal to you as well.
Yeah, definitely, and you got the color right too.
That's right. It's a 4.2 V8. It's a strange engine. It's based on what they were doing in Formula One at the time, so it's a 75-degree all aluminum, 360 horsepower, single cam, flat plane crank. So it sounds very strange. Has an unusual firing order as well, so that accentuates that strange sound. 320 foot-pounds of torque. It's a V8, but it's a 75-degree V, which is a little unusual. And in the middle of the V, they put the AC compressor and the alternator. They're actually very easy to get out. The fuel rail just pops off and the alternator comes out very easily. And then the other ancillaries, like your oil pump, water pump, and power steering pump, are actually gear-driven off the crank, and they're underneath the exhaust headers on this side.
Cool.
There's nothing else on the other side.
Cool.
But it comes out as a module that way. It's all self-contained.
All these components here and up there that are now carbon fiber, originally that was fiberglass. So one of the previous owners had changed that. But there are some components on the car that were originally carbon fiber, which is very cool. I love this forward opening trunk lid.
And if you notice, the engine is behind the front axle, so it's a mid-front engine.
Yeah, that is a very unique setup.
Between the wheels.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't weigh much, just over a ton was always the target. And this is about 24 to 2,500 pounds.
That's incredibly light, because this is not just a two-seater.
No, it's quite a big car.
Yeah, it is.
2 plus 2.
And they're not, I mean, you actually wedged yourself into that back seat earlier.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for someone tall.
No.
But, I mean, you know, where you're sitting, you have plenty of leg room, and I can see a foot or more of leg room. Granted, the seat is only about a foot or 18 inches deep, but there's leg room, right? So for, you know, small children or shorter people, it works.
Yeah.
And just the fact that they, you know, accommodated it. And I would say too, I mean, I did make some comments while I was driving, or actually rather while I was sitting up there at the turnaround. The visibility, like the cabin space, right, is phenomenal in here. I mean, it's amazing because, so I'm sure you've been in an Elise, right? So with another person?
Yes.
So you know we'd be rubbing elbows. Yeah, I mean, it's an intimate
Very tight.
exchange when you're getting into the car. And the Alfa Romeo, one of the things I thought was a little interesting there is, even though the external dimensions were only about an inch or 2 or 4, depending on which dimension, larger than the Elise, you did have more space between you and your passenger in the cabin, right? And I think that has to do with the construction, right? Because the Elise does have very wide sills.
Yeah.
And this car, I mean, there's no noticeably wider sill or
Pretty
anything.
standard width, I would say.
Yeah. But you said it's a steel frame construction.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's mainly down a spine down the middle. It's a this sort of ladder frame with trellis reinforcement all the way down, and then it has what they call the outriggers that go out to the side, and that's what they attach, you know, seatbelt mounts and things like that to. It also gives you a bit of side impact protection and maybe a little torsional stiffness.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, as I was saying, the visibility is phenomenal. I mean, I can look, I mean, you have a very large rear view mirror, which gives you a very large field of view out the back, right? I mean, some cars you can be in and you might, no matter what the size of the mirror is, your actual field of view is a fraction of that.
Right.
Right. Whereas, I mean, I'm looking at this now, all I see is window and exterior, you know, outside, which is fabulous. And then I commented earlier too, I love the side view mirrors. I mean, that can make a big difference, you know, and these doors, like you were saying, are super long, but also you have no pillars, right? So I can look to the side and I can look to that side. I can see behind the seat that you're in, out the window, is just phenomenal. There are not a lot of cars where I've seen visibility that good. Cars that are, you know, sport purpose built sort of cars. I did get a chance to drive a McLaren 600 LT a couple months ago, and it had pretty phenomenal visibility too, but nothing like this. Do you mind me asking, like, the cost of this car?
These go for about £20,000 for a rough one to £30,000 for a pretty good one, and you can pay a little more, £35,000 or so for the 4.5. This is just the 4.2, but 4.5 fully restored, it was about £35,000, which is about 50,000 US.
Okay. And you've not taken this on track?
No,
No desire?
almost did, but
Yeah?
the tyres were very old, and now I have new tyres. I'm just looking for a new opportunity to
Oh, yeah?
try it on the track. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that'd be fun. I
Yeah.
think that'd be good. So, what do you think are the coolest features of this car?
I like seeing how long it takes for somebody to open the door from the outside.
So sometimes they don't ask and they're just trying
Right,
to
they're
figure
just
it out.
standing there. In fact, my son yesterday, I didn't realise he'd not been in it before, and I went to pick him up, and he stood there for quite a while. I didn't help, but he did figure it out eventually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He didn't ask though, or you just?
Yeah, he just looked confused and was sort of looking around the outside. Yeah.
Okay. And looking at the interior, they've got some very nice features here. Some carbon fiber, Cerbera embossed in there. Now this interior in this car is not original. One of the previous owners had changed it, changed the color. It's a very different style, but the overall design is the same. You can see the pedals down here. Actually, there's quite a bit of space here. Then you can see the passenger area in the back. There's actually quite a bit of room because on the passenger side, there's plenty of leg room up there. And then this feature back here is kind of unique. That is helmet storage for race days. It's just so unique. All the shapes, what did you say, Dali-like?
Salvador Dali.
Yeah. Or, so I'm going to Barcelona on Sunday. It's like Gaudi.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Maybe I'll have some pictures from that trip I can add to this video. So I found this very unique with the steering wheel, right? Because you've got the dashboard, which has some gauges and switches and whatnot, and then you've got the steering wheel, which has a couple buttons on it, but then you also have this steering column, which has a couple gauges, and then the start-stop stuff on there. And I'd asked you about some of the exterior carbon fiber before, so is this stuff that they put on?
This is aftermarket.
Aftermarket,
Yeah,
okay.
one of the previous owners made these components for
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I was asking about the exterior components because I didn't really remember when carbon fiber became prevalent.
Right.
Right. So to be on a car that's 27 years old, I was like, oh, really? You know.
Yeah, it's surprising. Yeah, it was surprising when I saw the Cerbera back in '96 when it came out. And I was like, oh, carbon fiber on a car, you know.
Yeah.
It was a first, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So any other cool features that you like, other than the Chinese puzzle box aspect?
Well, yeah. Other than the interior, the engine is wonderful. You know, it really is nice and responsive, and it sounds fantastic. It's very nice, and yeah, it's part of the character of the car, really.
Comfort. I'll just say I think it's pretty comfortable. I did find the lack of a dead pedal uncomfortable. But that's because I'm not used to that. In terms of being like in the car itself, it feels very comfortable. This central tunnel here is a nice armrest. I don't think this is a very practical armrest over here.
No, but it's an armrest, which it didn't have from the factory.
Oh, so one of the
This
previous owners added that?
This is an addition. Yes.
Oh, okay. I mean, actually, this there's a storage cubby in the door here, which is right where I want an armrest. And actually, to me, that's relatively
It
comfortable.
would be about the right height.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty good. I was surprised. As I was driving, I saw you've got
Heated seats.
heated seats. That's a lot of luxury.
Yeah, it's not factory though.
Really?
These are the seats from the Temora, which
Oh, I
was
see.
a later car that was built in the early 2000s. I mean, not much later, I guess, but
Yeah.
that had the heated function.
Okay, so they installed those buttons then too.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I was really surprised by that. I mean, I'm always surprised sometimes when you've got a car that's a performance sports car and then they introduce some of those creature comforts.
Right.
Because they all add weight, they all add other stuff.
Yeah,
Fit and finish, right? Because I mean, it is a hand built car.
that's right. Yeah.
And we were talking about also on the exterior, there are some, I'm not sure what you'd call them, flares at the front of the door where the door hinge is that are reminiscent of the Dodge Viper, which I find very attractive. But you also made the comment that, you know, that helps them avoid the fitment of that seam, right? Which I know can be kind of tricky when you're doing the door opening there. How do you find the rest of it? I mean, I haven't paid close attention, but like to body panel gaps and things like that, are things fairly tight? Are they consistent, inconsistent?
They're quite generous gaps.
Are they?
Body fit,
Are they
yeah.
consistently inconsistent?
Pretty much, yeah. They don't wave too badly, but you know, it was all made by hand. It was laid up by hand into a mold, and then you know, put together and adjusted, all very manually. So it's not perfect.
Right.
They didn't really have tooling for production of anything. Right. You know, they might have had a mold for this and that, but it was a very low capital investment to build a car at TVR.
Right.
So a lot of things that relied on the skill and craftsmanship of the people building them.
Right. And you had said earlier that they had made 1,600 Cerberas.
Yes.
Was that total?
Total, yeah. Yeah.
Over, was it 5 or 7 years?
I think they went on till 2003 or so 6 years, 7 years of production.
Okay. Yeah, so that's like 200 or less per year.
Pretty low volume. Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's low volume for a car manufacturer, but it's not bad for the, you know, hand-built nature and small operation that they were.
Yeah, yeah. And they were building other cars simultaneously. The Griffith was in production, the Chimera, which sold a lot more units. So they were very busy at that factory at the time.
Okay. Do you have any concerns about reliability just because it's a 27-year-old car?
Yeah, always with classics. Yeah, make sure you got the breakdown cover. Yeah.
The what?
Breakdown coverage on your insurance. Yeah.
Right.
So you can get a tow home. And, and then relax and enjoy it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And how do you find like the air conditioning and the heat?
It's actually not too bad. It's not anything compared to a modern car, but it does keep it cool enough, even in North Carolina summer.
Okay, that's good.
And the heat, I've only played with a little bit in the past few days, and it works nicely too. It's important to have air conditioning in North Carolina.
Not as important in the UK, but in North Carolina, you definitely need it. Yeah. A lot of times when I'm doing these test drives or reviews or whatever, I'm comparing it to another car. Right. So, and the ones that I'm most familiar with, like, you know, the Elise or the 4C or the Emira now. And I did do a little looking online. I don't know if you're familiar with the website Car Sized.
No, I don't.
It's a pretty cool website because you can pick any two cars that they have in their database, which is pretty extensive, and then it will show you those cars side by side, and you can look at them, you know, head on from the rear, overlaid. You can then shift them so that they're like front bumpers lined up or whatever, just so you can compare sizes, and they throw up next to them all the differences, right? So you can see, you know, oh, this car is 4 inches taller than that car, or whatever. And so I was looking at size, and obviously, I mean, this is way bigger than like an Elise or a 4C. It was kind of similar to the Emira in size. Yeah. Right? Although the Emira is strictly a two-seater. Thinking about it, it was like, I don't know that I have a car in my repertoire that I would compare it to, right? I mean, it's just because of its era that it's from, and also the design, right? Being a 2x2+2, also honestly being a V8.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of experience with V8s. I don't think I've, other than a Ford F-150, I don't think I've ever owned a V8. Are there cars that you think it compares with?
I think in the US, the Corvette might be the closest thing. It has a fiberglass body, V8. It doesn't have a 2+2 arrangement, but you know, it has a front engine, rear wheel drive.
Right.
Similar dimensions, possibly.
Right.
I think this might be a bit smaller than a Corvette.
Yeah, the Corvettes I think tend to be pretty long.
Yeah. But in terms of performance, Jeremy Clarkson of Top Gear fame ran this against the Porsche 911 Turbo. There was an Aston Martin Vantage, Caterham 7, and I think Lamborghini had already been beaten by one of those, so they didn't supply a car for the test, and Ferrari heard about what they were doing and didn't want to provide a car. But the Cerbera walked it home on a drag strip. Yeah.
Wow, impressive. So that was a straight line.
A straight line.
Race.
Yeah, I think it might have been for a mile.
Okay.
The Cerbera did very well.
Yeah, the Corvette's interesting. Unfortunately, like the only Corvette that I've ever even been in, well, no, I've been in 2 now, but I mean, the only one I've driven is a C8. And,
Okay.
And that would not be a fair comparison.
Very, very different.
Very different.
Era, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just everything is, you know, probably comparing it to a Corvette from that era would be very similar. Yeah, the only other one I've been in was I was at a Lotus gathering, and a guy had brought his Corvette because it was the one with the Lotus engine.
I didn't know they made one. with
They
a Lotus
did.
engine.
It was back in the 90s, probably around this same time.
Okay.
Yeah, Lotus designed engine in a Corvette.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yep, yep. Yeah, anyhow, it was, I didn't know it either until then.
But yeah, GM owned Lotus in the early 90s anyway. Yeah, late 80s, yeah,
Right.
early 90s.
Right, right. How's the brakes?
The brakes are pretty good, yeah, yeah. I think they could be a little better. I feel some pull, which tells me one brake's being a bit lazy. So they probably need taking apart and rebuilding the calipers. But yeah, they're not bad. It's not a heavy car, so they don't have much work to do.
Yeah.
And they're pretty big brakes.
Honestly, I mean, I'm struggling a little bit with the weight considering the size of the car. They did a really good job.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's phenomenal. And with the, you know, level of luxury and stuff like that, it's really impressive.
And it wasn't a high-tech approach either. You know, it's just steel and fiberglass.
Yeah, true. It's
It
not
were
the, you know,
not the
extruded
aluminum.
aluminum,
Yeah, right,
epoxy,
right.
you know, new tech fangled stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, it's built like a tractor. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very nice tractor. I like it. Like, why would someone choose a Cerbera over another car? I'm not sure that question is relevant in this context. You know, usually I'm asking that when someone's looking at like a 4C or an Elise.
Right, right, yeah. Most Cerbera owners wanted a Cerbera.
Right,
You know, they
right.
saw when they were my age, well, you know, as a youngster.
Right.
Yeah.
When they were first out.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Thanks for watching my test drive and review of the TVR Cerbera. And now I'd like to share some thoughts that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And I've got my notes here to make sure I don't forget anything. So first off, you know, to answer that last question, would I own a TVR Cerbera? And I would say, you know, I don't think so, because that is not really my cup of tea. You know, it's a 2+2, a little bit larger car than I probably like. Also, I'm not much of a mechanic. I really enjoy driving cars, but I don't enjoy tinkering or maintaining cars. I don't enjoy detailing cars. I know that's blasphemy for some of you. To each his own. But that's, you know, I know myself, and I have considered cars like this, sort of project cars that I could do maybe with one of my sons or my son-in-law, but we've never sort of found a car that we agreed and had the time available to do a project like that. So at this point in my life, the answer would be no. Now, what do I think about importing other cars that are past that 25-year federal regulation mark? There are some cars I'm interested in. So for example, the Lotus Elise Series 3, I don't think it's quite past that 25-year mark, but when it is, that's gotta be a beast. And I just think it would be really interesting to have and own one of those cars, assuming I can drive it on the street. That car takes your normal Elise, which is a 4-cylinder, very light, small car. It stretches it a little bit, just enough to squeeze in a V6 engine. And so I can just imagine, you know, what sort of performance you would get out of a Lotus Elise with a V6 engine. I'd love to try it. One of these days I hope to get an opportunity to test drive one, but that's a car I'd consider perhaps owning. Let's see, other ones, I'm not sure. I mean, the TVR Tuscan is pretty cool, but again, as I mentioned, I'm not very mechanically inclined, so I'm not sure that that would really be something that would be, you know, my speed. Now, should you invest in something like that? You know, there are going to be challenges. I can remember my dad way back in the day importing cars from Germany and stuff, and you know, trying to get parts can be a real challenge. These cars that we're talking about were not sold in the US market, so there's not a ready, you know, market, there's not availability of parts. You can sometimes order those parts from overseas. Some of these cars can be simpler in their design and build, especially some of these exotic hand-built models. So in that respect, it could actually be easier because you might be able to fabricate your own parts or find them some other way. It might not be for me, but it might be for you. So if those things I just mentioned appeal to you, being unique, getting some extra attention at car shows or out on the streets, having a project that you can tinker with and maintain over time, something that maybe is a little bit of challenge because you can't readily find parts for it here in the United States. This might be right up your alley. And if that's the case, then I'd suggest you check out people like my friend David Sutcliffe with RobinHood Motors. He imports quite a few cars each year, so he can probably hook you up with whatever you're looking for.
It's your world and I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut to move your butt.
Please subscribe now. You know you want to. And why not go nuts and set notifications on so you'll be notified every time I put out new content.